Hi, welcome to Small Talks with Moms for Hire Nanny Services. I am Tyra, CEO of Moms for Hire Nanny Services, and this is my co-host Orion.
Hi.
So today's topic, we're going to discuss picky eaters. Alrighty, so to start today, we're going to discuss ways to deal with picky eaters. I'm going to give my viewpoint from a nanny's perspective, and Orion here is going to give her viewpoint from a mother's perspective. So different ways that I have dealt with picky eaters as a nanny are I would ask the child if they're speaking age, why does he or she not like certain foods? That is a great way to start off, just to get an understanding of the child and why he or she may not like it. Sometimes it may just be they feel like their stomach hurts when they eat it, or it could just be they don't like the texture of it. It's multiple different reasons why a child may not like the food. So I would say by start off asking a child that. Another thing I would do is watch for cues with the child to see if it's certain foods they gag with or certain foods they don't like hard, crunchy food or squishy foods, because sometimes it's a sensory thing. I know in my years as a nanny, I have dealt with children who it was sensory issues. It wasn't as if they didn't like the food, they just didn't like the texture in their mouth. So that's another way to get a more understanding of the child and why he or she may not like a certain food. I would say try to introduce different foods with foods they love. Most plates have that portion or that triangular where you can put different things in different slots on the plate. So I would say if it's a new food, put it in a different slot by itself, but have other foods on the plate that child may love, because that may get them to grab it and just want to taste it and be curious. Another thing you can do is start by telling the child to take 2 bites. Instead of them saying, hey, I don't like it, and you just toss it, just say, hey, just try 2 bites. You may like it if you try 2 bites. I have learned in my years of experience that has worked. Like, they take 2 bites, they may say something like, oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was. If they feel like it was a vegetable or something, they may feel like that's why they didn't eat it, because it was a vegetable or something. So if you mix it and have them take 2 bites, it kind of works. And another thing would be always keep introducing it into their diet. Like, never give up. Just keep introducing it, putting it on their plate. Even when they say they don't like it, just always introduce it. Never just give up and toss it out and just say, I'm never going to try it again. I know as a mother, I have 2 kids. I gave up like that early on. And to this day, my girls are teenagers. They don't like vegetables. But when they were younger, I was just like, oh, forget it. They don't like it. I'm never going to introduce it again. So I messed up with that. So I would say keep introducing it, keep putting it on their plate, because one day they may pick it up and they may like it.
Right.
Even with vegetables in particular, like if you mix it with ranch, or I'm not big on condiments, but mix it with things like that, or hummus. Hummus is a big thing now. So mixing it with hummus could be helpful. With you, what are different things as a mom or different ways to help deal with the picky eater?
My kids honestly didn't have too much of an issue with vegetables, but the ones that they didn't like, I would try to incorporate it just in smaller quantities, because I think it's a little overwhelming to see that huge portion of the huge vegetable portion that we grew up knowing that you're supposed to have mostly vegetables over your starchies or your protein. So I would put a chunk of vegetables on my kid's plate thinking that's the right thing to do. Well, if they have an aversion to a certain vegetable, they don't want to eat that, and they have this huge chunk of it on their plate. So I just started putting smaller quantities. Like for broccoli, I may just put like 3 florets for my son, because he was difficult with broccoli. With him, it was broccoli. With my daughter, she started out eating peas, green beans, everything else, and then by the time she had 1, she started to let peas go. And honestly, I don't like peas, so I was like, well, I'm not gonna make her eat peas. She probably just don't like it because I don't eat it. That kind of thing. Which obviously you can't think like that. So I just substituted peas for something else, just another vegetable. But I was determined not to just give up on vegetables. I just kind of switched them up between ones that I knew they would probably give it a try. My kids will not eat greens, any kind of greens whatsoever, like collard greens or mustard, that kind of stuff. No. So I said, it's fine as long as you'll try broccoli, try your peas, try your green beans, and they'll get something from it. Like if you eat all your food, for my son, it may be if you eat all your food, then you can have a snack right afterwards. Because normally I make them wait before they eat a snack, but I'll say if you eat all your food, I'll give you a snack afterwards. For my daughter, it might be totally different incentive because they're motivated by different things.
Mm-hmm.
So for my daughter, I could just tell her, you're gonna be so strong, like you're gonna grow up to be strong. And as she's eating, I'll say, girl, look at those muscles. Just the encouragement, for her, that helps. So I think just making it seem like a positive thing, or like a cartoon character like Popeye. For
Mm-hmm.
us, it's spinach, right? So that's
Yeah.
one way. I know kids don't really watch that anymore, but I think that was a good way of getting kids to eat spinach, saying, look how strong Popeye gets.
Yeah.
You know, Bugs Bunny with carrots, that kind of thing. You can always relate a cartoon to a certain vegetable that a kid may not like. Also, I learned just from Googling, whether it's Pinterest or whatever, there's a lot of fruits and vegetables that you can make them to look like
Yes.
characters or fun things. I know you've probably experienced that being a nanny, but you can just kind of shape them in a way that the kids are like, oh, that's creative, and they're more willing to try it just because it looks friendlier.
Yes.
It's not as intimidating to look at.
Yes. It does work. I know what you're talking about, and like special treats or making pancakes look like Mickey Mouse ears, like putting the bananas. Yes,
I've tried that one actually. Yep, I've tried that one.
I would say that does work, and the things that you say are definitely cool to try and then do. I didn't think of the incentives, but that is a definitely good motivator too. Another topic we like to discuss is ways to incorporate certain foods into diet, such as we were talking about, is veggies or fruits or meats. Because I know with my girls, they didn't like meats, so they would chew the meats and spit it out, like they would chew all the juice out and then spit it out. Which, as a nanny, I find that very common in kids, like during their toddler stages. Yes, they just chew it and they spit it out. So ways to incorporate it as a nanny, if it's a baby, I have worked with families where I made the baby food from scratch. So in making the baby food and blended it, I would put the veggies in with like the fruit. So when I'm mixing in the jar, I mix it all together and then I introduce it to the baby like that. Yes. As they're getting older in the stages they go up in food, then I'll start introducing it individually because you don't want them to get used to that sweet taste if I'm mixing like avocado with strawberries or carrots with blueberries or something like that. So as they got older, I introduced it individually, but I would introduce it in there. With toddlers, ways to introduce it would be like mixing it with pasta. If you're making a pasta that toddler like, or a dish that toddler like, if you can throw in the veggie into that pasta. That way they're eating it mixed in and blended in, not necessarily eating it individually. So I would say you can incorporate it that way. Another thing, as I said before, if you just put it on their plate and just say, hey, just take 2 bites. All I ask is 2 bites. Or as you just said, small portions of that food, which is very smart. You do small portions so they're not so overwhelmed. Because if the kids get older, when they see all that food, they're assuming they have to eat every bit of it. So if you do the small portions, it actually does help. Yeah, it helps. So I would definitely say the small portions, and then at least have them take 2 bites. If it's new food, definitely have them take 2 bites. Or food that they don't like, hey, just take two bites. That's all I ask you to do, take 2 bites. Or do the, like you were saying, the incentive too. If you say, hey, if you eat everything on your plate, you get dessert. And dessert can be whatever you choose. It doesn't necessarily have to be like sugar. It can be whatever you choose. Because like you were saying early on, I know our last video, your kids love fruits. So that could be the dessert. I mean, an additional fruit, an apple or strawberry. So whatever your dessert is, you can say it that way. Hey, if you eat all this, then you get a dessert at the end. So that's another way to do it. And as I said before, keep introducing it. Never not introduce it, because I messed up with my girls. I didn't eat veggies at one point in my life. And because of that, like you were just saying, I just assumed my girls didn't eat it because I didn't eat it. They were like, oh, my mom doesn't eat it, I don't eat it. So always introduce. Even if it's a food that you don't like, still cook it for your kids, especially veggies. Can't stress that enough, but still cook it, keep introducing it. And if we can't make kid-friendly meals, like you were just saying, decorating a plate, something cool. That is a kid-friendly, it may be a meal that we eat, but kid-friendly in the sense that you decorated the plate in the sense that they like. Or if you're making hamburgers and fries, all kids love hamburgers and fries, then put a veggie on the plate too. You know, add that to the plate and make them still eat it. So those are ways I can say that you can incorporate it, you know, foods into diets. What are some ways you would incorporate it?
Well, one instance in particular, and this was the case for both of my kids, and still is, neither one of them like mashed potatoes. And for them, it's a texture thing. you know, just it's mushy, and they're just like, there's no way I can do it to make them eat it. Like I've tried adding butter, salt, pepper, whatever, they just don't like it. It's that texture. So what I have found though, that is with some foods you could just change the form of it, and that makes all the difference. So with my kids, my husband and I may eat mashed potatoes. For them, I may give them a baked potato.
Oh, that makes
Because
sense.
it's not mushy anymore. They're getting the same thing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because all I do is I take a baked potato, I boil it, and I mash it up. That's how I make it, with the skin and everything in it. So if they won't eat it mashed, I just give them a whole baked potato, and they'll eat it like that because the texture no longer becomes an issue. But they're getting the same nutritional benefits that we are.
Yeah.
You know, same thing with a kid that maybe doesn't like grapes. Maybe they like jam though. You know, jelly or one of those other things. They don't like strawberry because of the little seeds on it.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me, I can't do kiwi. Something about kiwi, the little seeds in it, just it gags. Like I literally gag every time I have a kiwi. I just can't do it. So maybe a jelly form if they're okay, if they eat sandwiches.
Yeah.
You know, obviously that would be for a little bit of an older child, a toddler. But I think that has helped me. I just pretty much give them the same thing we have, but in a different form that's more pleasing to their palate, because I know that what they like is not the same as what I like. So they're still eating the same thing. I just changed up, kind of hide it, and you know, they don't
I like that.
it.
with my daughter, my youngest, she's a teenager now, but pineapple was a thing. Like she did not. You know, you chew the pineapple and it's like still stringy. Yes. So she did not like pineapples. She would gag and throw up when it came to pineapples. So as she got older, I would just buy a whole pineapple. Okay. And we would just cut it up to where it's not, because I used to buy it in a can or them cups, you know, you get it in the cups or the can, it's in the syrup.
Right.
So as she got older, if I would buy a whole, I don't know, like she ate it better if it was just whole and we chopped it up ourselves. Like if we chopped it up, we didn't put it in the fridge to where it was like really, really cold. Right. It was just room temperature. She ate it.
It
so
worked.
It worked. I mean, she don't eat pineapple that much. My oldest loved it more than the youngest, but that was just a different way that I did.
Isn't that crazy? Like it's all about changing it up, whether it's texture or the form of it. Same thing. But to them, it makes all the difference in the world. It's the difference between will I eat this or am I gonna let that pass? You know what I mean? So I definitely think that's a great idea. Just change it up a little, make it seem like it's a different food. You know, it's just more pleasing to them. So
that's definitely
yeah.
Well, that is all that we have for you guys today. I would encourage you guys to do, if you have a picky eater at home, Pinterest is an awesome form of finding recipes, ideas on how to get your child to eat. Amazon has some books. We'll put some links in the bio, some books on picky eater recipes and different things like that. But Google is always a good tool too. Google is an awesome tool nowadays. You can Google and figure anything out. But as I said, my main thing as a nanny, as I have always done, is talk to the child first. If they're speaking age, definitely talk and get a little bit more understanding why they don't like it. Because if it's something that irritates their stomach, like an acidic fruit or something like that, it may be that it's not that they don't like it, it's upsetting my stomach when I eat it. So always talk to the child if they're speaking age and get a little bit more understanding as to why they don't like it. If it's just, I don't like it, then obviously introduce, because maybe one day they'll pick it up and they will like it.
And they tend to.
Yes, they do tend to. So I will let Orion close us out for tonight.
Well, thank you all for watching again. We really appreciate you tuning in. Please check us out on Facebook. Like us on Facebook. Check out our
website.
Check out our website. So
and subscribe to our YouTube page too.
Yes.
Subscribe. And as always, the days are long, but the years are short. So love on those babies as much as you can. And you guys be blessed. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.